Hi, I'm Barnes. I talk about life as it relates to money. In this video, I'll be going over how much of my salary I spent in 2020 and what exactly I spent it on. So for this to make sense, you need to know a little bit about me. First of all, I'm a millennial, in case you can't tell. I am single, as in I do not share my finances with anyone else, and I do not have a dependent. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to the numbers. We'll start with my top spending categories, lowest to highest, followed by the total amount of money that I spent in 2020. If you're curious, I got this information from Mint, and that is what I use to budget and track my finances. So my top spending categories are number 7, bills and utilities. This consists of electricity, internet, cell phone, natural gas, and water. And in total, I spent $2,684. The US average for this spending is $4,788, so I did pretty well there. I will say that I try to get the cheapest service that I can in terms of cellular service and internet service, and I tend to conserve energy, as in using less water, not keeping the lights on when I'm not using it, and things like that. Number 6 is food and dining. So that includes groceries, restaurants, coffee shops, and alcohol and bars. This category is also pretty reasonable because I don't usually go out to eat or go to bars unless it's for a social reason. And as you know, 2020 was not the year to be socializing. And while I did manage to get out and see my friends, I did not do it as much as I would have in any other year. So my total spending for this category was $3,376. And apparently the US average for this category is $8,169, so $3,000 is relatively reasonable. And I'm sure the average includes families and the like, so the numbers are a bit skewed in that way. Number 5 is auto and transportation. This category was higher for a few reasons. I moved back home from across the country and spent $1,050 to ship my car and belongings back home. And because I had driven there in the first place, shipping it back was totally worth it. Then I bought a set of winter tires and wheels for $909. And once again, that was totally worth it. I do have a relatively long commute to work, and I live in a state where it snows, so it works out. Other things that I spent money on for my car were gas, insurance, service and parts, parking, license and registration, supplies, and car wash. In total, I spent $3,841, and the US average for this category is $10,742. Now, I'm sure that includes car payment, and fortunately, I paid off my car years ago. Number 4 is health and fitness. I ended up spending a good amount of money in this category because I had a high deductible insurance plan at my former job. So that essentially meant that I had to pay for all my insurance expenses until I met the deductible. I got this plan so that I could save and invest my money in a health savings account, or HSA. And I treat that as a retirement fund like one would a 401k or 403b. While I did have to pay more money up front, I feel like the tax benefits and the saving and investing portion of an HSA outweighs the higher deductibles. The next thing that I had to pay a lot of money for was actual insurance. When I moved back home, I decided to take a contractor-like position, and that meant that I had to pay for my own insurance through healthcare.gov. And those plans are pretty expensive unless you're getting subsidized by the government. If you want to see how much I spent on health insurance and other things on a monthly basis, then definitely check out my budgets. In total, I ended up spending $3,767 on healthcare. Other related expenses were the gym, supplements, dental insurance, healthcare products, and exercise equipment. So the grand total for this category was $4,882, and the average US person spends $5,193. So my spending was pretty in line with that. Now we're on to the top 3. So number 3 is travel. Now, this came as a surprise to me, as I'm sure it is to you, because of the nature of 2020. I mean, we were quarantined for most of the year, so I wouldn't expect that I had spent this much money on travel, but the little traveling that I did do ended up being quite costly. My highest spending in this category was for hotels, and that was because after my apartment lease was up, I stayed at a hotel until I finished up the last few weeks of my job, and as you know, hotels are quite expensive. I also booked hotels for a local trip and side trips when I went to see my friends. All in all, those hotel bookings cost me $2,799. I also rented cars for some of those trips and when I was traveling back and forth between the state that I worked in and my home state. Rental cars ended up costing me $1,713. In line with that, I also spent $1,094 on airplane tickets. Other travel-related expenses include rideshare, so Uber and Lyft, excursions, and travel documents, for a total of $6,253. Based on my research, the average person in the US planned to spend $5,466 on travel. And obviously this was prior to last year. The second highest category that I spent money in was shopping. Most of it was in clothes and shoes, which historically I do tend to overspend in. In 2019, I went on a no buy and a low buy year, and it was great. It helped me to pay off the last of my student loan debt and taught me a lot about myself and my shopping habits. I have a blog post about it that I will leave in the description box if you're interested. So because of the pandemic, no one was shopping, so lots of retailers had put lots of clothes, shoes, and the like on sale. So I took that as an opportunity to update my wardrobe and stock up on some winter pieces that I was lacking. I will say that I tend to spend more money on clothes than most people because I'm more, at this point in my life, into quality pieces versus quantity. However, that doesn't help when it comes to keeping costs down. I spent $7,063 on clothing and shoes, while the average person in the US spent $1,833 on apparel, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So obviously I spent way more than most people. Initially, I was shocked to see that number, but at the same time, I love all the things that I got, so I'm okay with it for now. Other things that I shopped for were jewelry, accessories, sleepwear, lingerie, and electronics. In total, I spent $8,039 shopping. The number one category that I spent money in was home. Now, this is a little less shocking than shopping, obviously, because the majority of Americans spend most of their income on housing. I own my home, but when I moved out of state to work, I decided to rent. That cost me $11,333 for the time that I was there. Other housing-related categories that I spent money on were home decor, homeowners association fees, homeware, home repair services, appliances, insurance, contractor consult, supplies, hardware, and fixtures, as well as moving expenses. So for my top spending category, I spent $18,929. The average American spends around $20,679 on housing, so it looks like I am in line with that. Before we calculate my total spending for 2020, here are the other things that I spent my money on. Taxes, personal care, business services, gifts and donations, fees and other charges, education, and financial. In total, I spent $53,003 in 2020. Ironically, this was one of my higher spending years, considering that I wasn't paying off debt or paying for tuition. Perhaps I was making up for years of restricted spending. However, I managed to accomplish my other financial goals, so everything worked out. How did your year go in terms of finances? Did you spend more or less than you planned? Let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far, hit the like button. And if you're interested in this and other money and lifestyle content, hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.